think about infrastructure in terms of positive constraints and negative constraints, and to think about infrastructure within higher education institutions as having a number of different elements to it. I always think of policies, broad institutional policies, as being infrastructure, and particularly policies around things like assessment and how you assess and how you are to allocate grades as being a really important constraint. A second element of infrastructure I think is terribly important are just the resources themselves, whether it be the cabling or whether it be the actual people who do the teaching. Third element of infrastructure is the curriculum, the overall curriculum design. And thinking about that again, how does the constraints that come with curriculum inhibit or enable creativity? Because if we're going to scale these activities, we're going to have to address issues of infrastructure.
Self-direction. It seems that that's another key ingredient to allow choice, to invite diversity. Certainly, Florida would say that the welcoming of diversity is an absolutely key issue in the enabling of creativity.
The other part of my work, which is really important, is to align or to value creativity by assessment.
It wasn't about me offering a learning opportunity to someone, it was me responding to someone's inquiry, I suppose, and the result was an extraordinarily creative output.
The way that we structure the program over 3 years is we actually run projects, or as was mentioned earlier by Erica, good inhibitors, and these projects are conceptually based. We don't put a lot of emphasis on materials, which is kind of ironic because we're from the Department of Sculpture and Spatial Practice. Not just sculpture and spatial practice. That's a very important distinction. And what we try to do in that first instance, the first sort of 6 months of having first-year students, is make them unlearn their preconceptions about being an artist, the artist in the garret, that people work individually, that they're full of creativity which has to be unlocked.
One of the things which hasn't been raised yet about students is that we're looking at this new generation, but for many of them, they haven't known adversity. This is particularly true of graduate medical students who have only known success when you come to the interview. It's all based on what you've achieved, not what you haven't done. So when these students go out in rural areas, they face adversity, and it's adversity that develops resilience.
This unit is actually very process-oriented. Now, there is a purpose why I structured this unit this way, with a process focus. It's because the assessments actually have to get them, students have to experiment with each thinking technique.
And I introduced the body painting, and they realised that actually is quite a powerful learning tool, because they were forced to make the decision of how to put the paint on and where to put it on. And so that's great fun, and the students absolutely love it. And you'll see from the pictures there, they all walk around campus for the rest of the day painted in their favourite colours, and it's just madness, but it's good fun. And it gets them touching and looking at one another and practising surface anatomy and actually seeing things in a real person, not one another, that they're actually being seen a couple of hours earlier on a dead body on a slab. So it brings the anatomy to life.